Good morning, Lapeer community. I'd like to address our students, staff, and parents in relation to the tragedy that we witnessed on the news this recent Friday in Connecticut. Obviously, it's with a heavy heart that we have to discuss these types of issues in 2012, and unfortunately these incidents are still occurring in our schools. I know that many of you have an increased level of anxiety, as I did, dropping your children off at school this morning. But it's also important to remember that we as adults, as parents and educators, have the ability to help our students cope effectively and appropriately with this type of tragedy. I recently sent an email to all of our staff giving them some basic talking points to share with students this morning in relation to how best handle students and their ability to process this type of incident. And depending on the age of the students, there are different and various ways to approach this topic. For our elementary age students, especially our early elementary age students, it's important to remember that depending on the level of communication you have had in the home, it might not be appropriate to share the specific details of the incident with them. I've made that recommendation to my staff that they approach today as a business as usual response to dealing with this issue, and that more importantly they use reassuring words and tones and language, giving out lots of hugs and a feeling of love and security for our young people so they understand that they are safe. For our older students who may have more specific questions, I've also made the indication to our staff that we keep the detailed, specific discussions to a minimum, recognizing that families are dealing with this issue in a variety of ways. From a school district perspective, I think it's important that you know that we have specific protocols in place in dealing with a variety of issues, but most specifically an armed gunman entering one of our buildings, and that our principals have received specific training as recently as this summer, and that we'll be readdressing our protocols that are in place and to see how we can tighten and improve security. In a free society, it's unfortunate that these types of incidents have to occur and do occur, but please know that we're going to do our best to keep your children's safety, as that is our first priority. I've had the opportunity to meet with and discuss this issue with local law enforcement, and I've scheduled a meeting as early as tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. to meet with county superintendents and local law enforcement to figure out a countywide approach and response to what happened in Connecticut on Friday. What's most important to remember from an educator's perspective is that many of us are parents first. In dealing with this issue, not as a professional educator, but as a dad, I understand how much you care about your children as I do mine. And that our first priority is and continues to be the safety of our boys and girls that come to school here each day. And that our number one focus is returning your children to you safely each afternoon. I was reminded also of why I became an educator watching the news unfold on Friday and Saturday, and watching our president address the nation on Sunday, remembering the many adults who gave their lives and sacrificed to protect their children and their students, done so out of love and care. The many employees of Lapeer Community Schools feel the same way for their children as these educators in Connecticut felt about theirs, and I can assure you that we will do everything in our power to keep your children safe each and every day. Our staff was sent specific communications this morning, not only reminding them about what to say and how to say it, but also a brief reminder of the support they have from us here at Central Office and the community at large to keep our children safe and protected. Please know that in the coming weeks and months, we will continue to review and scrutinize our emergency protocol measures and our daily safety measures to make sure that what's happening in our schools has safety as its first priority, which I can assure you it does. Please feel free to communicate with your children's teachers and principals as it relates to these issues, because a continual dialogue is what will help improve all of us in this regard. I thank you for your time and ask that your prayers and emotions be directed to the families in Connecticut as they deal with this tragedy and help cope with the loss of their children, something that I pray we never have to deal with here on the pier. Thank you very much.